Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager at Revere Asset Management. Today is Sunday, November 17th, 4:42 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with the Revere Roundup weekend walkthrough. So we'll start with the trend gauge right here. Market leaders still have the green arrow. They're acting pretty well. Short term, green arrow, the S&P on Friday closed right around it. The Q's breaking it, but it's just day one, so we'll monitor that and see if we can reclaim it this week. Mid-term, medium term, trading above the 50-day moving average, and long term, trading above the 200-day moving average. So good to see there. And so yeah, so that's the trend gauge, and let's get into the charts as usual. Alrighty, so the S&P 500. So we were talking about this, multi-day tight range here, right at 6,000, and it kind of just started to become a too tight for too long, and we were just kind of meandering there, and we ended up breaking to the downside. But all in all, it looks pretty normal. 58.78. That's a big level that coincides with the gap low off the election gap up. And that was like this previous kind of base, high of the base. So we're watching that and the 21-day moving average. Look at the weekly chart. Nothing's wrong here. Still looks very constructive, and even a pullback to the 10-week moving average would not be out of the ordinary. But that's at 57.90. So all in all, looks good. And basically what we want to see, if we break the 21 this week, obviously the 50-day, that 10-week needs to hold, but just could start to see a little chop here. This was a pretty strong move in the markets and especially some of the leaders, so it makes sense to cool down a little bit. RSP looking fine, continues to build higher lows, pulling back into the 21-day. Want to see that hold along with this, upward sloping trend line. QQQ, more of a decisive break below the 21 versus the S&P. Similar thing, had like a 7-day range, too tight for too long. And now 50, you could argue it's failed breakout, 503.52, broke above, coming back in, but maybe it just needs more time and needs to handle out here on the right side a little bit more. But still think these indexes look constructive. One thing to note was the volume, was distribution. So keep an eye on that. Would like to see this 50-day hold. And if that doesn't hold, some levels below 480 is obviously a big level, and you just go level by level. The weekly chart still looks fine. And let's see where the 10-week is. 491.31. So it's a good level to mark out on your charts. Mag 7, just pulling back into the top of the space. Don't think anything's wrong with this either. Dow Jones, again, pulling back to the 21-day, don't see anything that's super concerning yet, especially when you factor in how great stocks are acting. Mid caps a little bit more selling pressure, and usually how it goes, the smalls, the Russell are more aggressive to the downside and basically almost giving up this whole election move. So sitting right at the gap, this is the spot to hold. And yeah, it's really reversed over about 50% of that election move, but still looks good. So even if it came back to this trend line here, I think it would be fine. But just IWM, the Russell 2000, has been a hard instrument to trade for the last 2 years. When it goes, it's just very quick and aggressive, a lot of short covering, 4 or 5 day push, and then kind of round tripped it. This move from November into December was the cleanest one that we've had in a while. ARC pulling back into the top of this breakout base as well. Still big picture, big stage one base. She's got, Coinbase, Tesla, Robinhood, some really good, strong acting stocks. So maybe if those continue, this one can perform as well. VIX shot back up on Friday, up 10%, but still below the 20 spots. So that's a good pivot. And then obviously 23 as well. The dollar, this just huge move off this low. So continue to see if this is going to, affect equities and whatnot. But this is kind of, breaking a big weekly downtrend line. And objectively, this chart looks pretty bullish, but daily wise, this is quite extended. Gold, major relative weakness, living below the 50-day. Gold stocks just huge failed breakout here, and pretty from failed moves come fast moves, pretty aggressive downside move here. Silver, nothing much to say, just not an area that we're looking at all really. Bitcoin, this is the leader right now, the TML, in my opinion, especially with the stocks. And this one's forming a high tight flag here. Super strong, big weekly base breakout. This looks fantastic. Bonds trying to reclaim the 200-day TLT, just, nothing much. It's got a big downtrend line here. So maybe that could mark a reversal. Rates continuing higher, kind of forming a little continuation flag. Same thing here. So that's inter-asset correlation. Let's take a look at some breadth. NASI, just nothing really here. Just continues to in this big range. So this would like to see this start hooking back up, but RSI is already coming back down to almost oversold. So we'll see, but this hasn't really been giving any good signals. NASDAQ McClellan oscillator, this one's coming back down. That's good. Could mean the market gets a snapback, and this is already getting oversold. And then net new highs, new lows. This is something to keep an eye on. Is starting to see the new high readings flip negative. You can see down here, see the red bars. This one as well. So something to be aware of. And then NASDAQ composite stocks with the 5-day moving average. I love this indicator. Matt Caruso kind of coined the term the fear FOMO indicator. When it gets up here, maybe a good time to start selling, trimming into strength and stuff like that. When it gets down here, look for the leaders because this is super oversold, and this is almost at August 5th panic low levels, which means market is definitely a little bit oversold here. So could get snapped back up next week. Pretty market monitor. I like this one. This one again is kind of showing me that selling is getting a little exhaustive here. I mean, number of stocks down 4% plus 4 days of heavy readings there. So that means I just look at it as that we could be getting stretched to the downside a little bit here. And then NAM exposure index at 91. Once this gets back above 100, I get a little bit more concerned, and the market has often pulled back. You can see, July 3rd, this was 103, and right around 7 days later, we went from 56.33 down to 5,200. So just keep an eye on 100 here, but just kind of not super overbought, but getting there. And then I wanted to show this seasonality chart, and the market's been really tracking seasonality quite well this year. And you can see based on this one, it said the market should find a bottom around November 22nd. And then the market tends to be very strong into year end, you can see. So, we're getting there. It's November 17th. So a couple more days we could, if the market follows this seasonality precedent, that could be good for stocks and the indexes start turning back around. So that's all right. I don't want to spend too much time on breadth and whatnot. I assume you guys are more interested in the stocks and the sectors. So I've got a couple sectors that I want to talk about strength wise. So I'll just bring it back up. Bitcoin, this one looks good. And then I wanted to show WGMI. This is the Bitcoin miners ETF, and you can see this looks good. This has had a big move up here out of this low end of the base, and now it's starting to form a handle and just really nice reversal day on Friday, and this looks really good. And then there's another one, DAPP. This is digital transformative ETF, and basically this has a couple crypto miners as well. And this one, again, very similar chart, kind of forming a flag here on the right side of the base. This looks good. Regional banks, this gapped up on the election results big time, and it hasn't given up much of the move versus like IWM and MDY. So this one's putting in a nice little flag here. We take a look at the weekly, just really nice stage 2 continuation breakout. So this area of the market looks really good. If I'm going to get involved in this sector, it'd probably be via DPST, which is the triple ETF. But if you go and look at a basket of regional bank stocks, they all look quite attractive as well. XLF, maybe getting a little bit extended, but this is actually the best performing ETF this year sector-wise. and this one's forming a 5-day tight flag here, and good action across the board there. IGV software is another sector that is one of the best places to be right now. This one's getting a little bit extended, but I would watch this one to consolidate, form a handle, but short term it is quite extended. And if you've been watching our videos, we highlighted this beautiful base, and this led to just pretty substantial breakout and move higher. Hack's another one I like, cybersecurity. Pulling back to the 50-day could be a good spot, and good action across the board in those stocks. Weakness wise, semiconductors. NVIDIA reports this week, so maybe they come in and save the day and gap semiconductors tech higher, but this is looking a little bit weak. It's breaking the 200-day. This starts to look like it's going into a breaking lower out of a stage 3 topping pattern. So we'll see. You can kind of see, left head, or left shoulder, right shoulder. This is a pretty big invert head and shoulders topping formation, and you can kind of see we're starting to break the neckline. So keep an eye on this one weekly. Doesn't look great. So just keep an eye, but NVIDIA is acting well. But if you look at some of the other semiconductors, definitely some weakness across the board there. Biotech just loves the failed breakouts, and from failed moves come fast moves. Poked its head above 103 and just huge volume to the downside, breaking the 200-day. Definitely not a sector that you want to be right now. All right, so that's that. Take a look at some of my watch lists for the week. And basically the conclusion from this week was crypto, software, fintech, the best sectors in my eyes right now. So that's will be most of this watch list. And that's kind of how, when I do my weekend work, I try to look at, what group has the most amount of stocks setting up, giving me a picture, and that was for me crypto, fintech, and software. So Coinbase, this one looks really good. Came back up here and then undercut this top of the base and put a really strong day on Friday. And this one looks really good. The weekly breaking out of a really nice base. And this one was lagging quite hard versus other cryptos down here, but it's really came back around hard. And this and MSTR, which I got here, are the two best ones. And you can see this one's not giving much back at all, forming a high tight flag up here. So this one looks good. Covered that. Ethereum, I wanted to talk about this one because I've seen a couple charts, and typically in the crypto cycle, Bitcoin usually goes first, and then you start to see Ethereum, Solana follow. And Ethereum is breaking out of this low base here, and then it's pulled back to the 8 EMA, and this one looks really good. So we'll see if this one can move higher out of this pullback flag setup. Cores, this is another one I'm just kind of monitoring. This one has a similar look, like 3-4 days down into the 8 EMA with a clear declining tops trend line. Affirm, so now on fintech, a lot of these charts look very similar as well, but initially this had that weak earnings reaction, and then it shot back up the following week, and then it pulled back 2 days into the 8, and now it's breaking out of this flag. Can look at this weekly. It just looks fantastic for much higher. This is a big, you can see, so breaking the neckline of this pattern here. SoFi is another one, huge base that it broke back through, and now it's forming a continuation flag here. Upstart, super strong earnings day, pulled back to the gap pivot, and now put in a nice reversal on Friday. So this one looks like it can start moving higher and reversing. And again, very similar weekly chart to Affirm, big weekly base. So, these stocks are just now getting into stage 2 uptrend. So as long as they keep acting well, I'll probably keep talking about these for quite some time, and where I'll be focused on, because catching a name early into a stage 2 uptrend can lead to a big move. Square, similar look, big stage 1 base starting to come. Although one thing that could be a little bit concerning with this one is it has been lagging. Market's been, pretty strong, and this one's just kind of now setting up. So we'll see if that, but we'll see. But this one, very similar setup, flagging off the 8. Robinhood, on the topic of catching a name out of a stage 1 base, this is a great example. This, broke into a stage 2 uptrend around 12. and this is ran over 100%, and this one continues to look like it wants to go higher, and this one really has it all. This is a crypto play, fintech broker, so this one has a lot of angles. Toast extended, got an ants on Friday, so just watch this one to pull back, form a flag consolidation, but super strong. Tesla, relative strength on Friday, very similar chart pattern, flagging off the 8 EMA, and this one was one of the best performers after the election. So this one, and look at the big picture, 300 was that level we were keying in on, staying above there, and this monthly, it's a pretty clear monthly breakout with this RS line starting to firm back up, and this is one of the best looking big tech names in the market right now. GEV a little bit extended, but not giving back much, forming a flag here at the highs. And this is another reason why, for me, looking at stock action, there's no reason to get overly concerned or bearish yet, because yeah, the index is pulled back to the 21 day, but look at all these stocks that I'm showing you guys. None of them are really breaking the 21 day, and most are even holding above the 8 EMA. And if they're pulling back, they're bouncing there, and that's a shorter term moving average, so that shows strength and momentum. CLS, same setup, looking to break out of this flag. This was a super strong name after that earnings gap. Shopify undercut the low end of that gap day base. This is, another software-ish company. And this weekly, really nice base breakout. So you can see that. ALAB, one of the better semiconductors as well. Strong earnings gap, holding the low end of this base. Reddit, maybe just needs this 21 day to catch up. But again, this one continues to build higher lows here, and it continues to build off that strong earnings gap. And we, talk about this one is we think that a lot of funds had to re-rate this one and are accumulating this one. And you can just kind of tell in the tape, this definitely does have a bid to it. Team, another strong earnings gap, starting to pull back, letting these moving averages catch up. It'd be nice if this could flag out a little bit. Twilio, same thing. One of these older 2020 growth stocks. I mean, this is just can't really get better earnings reaction. You could have bought that day one gap with a stop low a day, which would have been very little risk. And it's never violated the prior day's low, and it just continues to move higher. Cyber, this is another cybersecurity. This has got a really nice base here. See if it can break out. Zillow, one of probably the best real estate stock that I can find right now. And this one is forming a little tight pivot flag here under highs. Datadog, again, a laggard per se, but this has got a big base, so I'm keeping an eye on this one, and it's also in that software group. So if it can take out this 131.28 with volume, I'd be interested. Take two. So this one popped up. This one is they're in the gaming, and the end for this one is that they are releasing GTA 6 next fall. So I don't really play video games. I'm not in that space really, but this one's got a nice chart. There's a lot of hype around that new game. So maybe that is, like I mentioned, the end for this stock. So this one's on the radar. If it can flag here, I think that'd be a nice opportunity. And then on the podcast Friday, I covered some of these natural gas stocks, and this group looks good as well. Big, deep double bottom base, and now it's pulling back, flagging to the top of the base. So this could provide an opportunity. LNG is another one, super strong. And then KMI is another one as well that is in that same group. So seeing leadership there as well. So that's the stocks. That's what I'm watching for the week ahead. Let's take a look at the economic calendar. Not a whole lot this week. Initial jobless claims on Thursday, PMI on Friday, so a bit more quiet week. And then if we take a look at earnings, it's definitely cooling off, not as much. Obviously, a lot of the big tech are out of the way, but NVIDIA's the main one. I think that's going to be an important one to watch, especially for the rest of the semiconductor group, because just judging the look of the stocks is breaking the 200-day. NVIDIA really needs to have a good report and gap up, or else that sector could just continue to see weakness. And on a relative basis, it has been lagging for some time. So we'll see there. So yeah, that's everything I got for the week ahead. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and good luck with your trading week. If you guys are ever interested in becoming a client, you can always reach out. And with that, I'm going to wrap it for Sunday, November 17th. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for watching and good luck trading this week.